Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time, as we get to come home with you. And thank you again so much for watching. We are live at the Feazell Farm in the studios at the Feazell Farm on Donna Nell Lane. So thank you again so much for watching. That's in North Alabama. And we're so excited to be talking with you. I have a couple of my friends with me. I mean, they are no strangers to you guys. Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey, and they're with Fair Tax. I'm beginning to kind of feel a little bit of a good thing about Fair Tax and what's happening.
Yes, morning, Donna. The movement of the economy and everything is going to force something like the fair tax to happen because the government's not going to be able to sustain itself with the income tax system the way it's set up. It's a loser to begin with because an income tax always taxes production, and what do you get less of when you tax? You get less of it. So if you tax production more, you're going to get less production. And a consumption tax works the opposite. It'll work for the consumer to control him or herself because they'll know if I spend more money, it's going to cost me more tax. So I'm going to control the amount of tax I pay. But then you're in charge with the consumption tax because you can decide whether you want to pay tax or not by whether or not you buy something. So that's the reason why we're pushing it, and that's the reason why you're seeing a lot of talk around the state about, oh, Mississippi is reducing and they're trying to get rid of their income tax, and Tennessee doesn't have an income tax, and Georgia's reducing their income tax, and Florida doesn't. We're surrounded by people that don't have income tax or are getting rid of their income tax, so they're going to have to do something. So we keep nudging our legislators to get on the ball and start learning about our state version of the fair tax, which is the Alabama Economic Freedom Act. And we're going to have a chance to talk to a bunch of them next week. They've got a reception and dinner for the new representatives and the new speakers. So we'll be attending that next week, and we're going to nudge some more.
That's exciting. We're going to have to get you back on the show after that.
Yeah.
There's been some exciting news. And so so I've been following our Kevin McCarthy. I've been following him, and so he's into repealing the IRS funding. Is that a step in the right direction?
He's talking about defunding the 87,000 spots that they just put in it, because you can't keep that from happening unless you just take the funds away, because the law is there. You just I guess by law you're not really required to fund it. It's just that you can do it if you want to, kind of thing. And so they're gonna kill that by not funding the 87,000 jobs that they put up last time around. But that's in the right direction. It shows that although those jobs haven't been filled yet, it shows that if they can do that, we don't really need that. So it ought to be easier to get them off, get the rest of the organization furloughed so that we can get this fair tax thing going.
Yeah, the House is in charge of funding things, and just like they defunded the wall when the money was appropriated for the wall, it was just not spent, and the same thing can happen with the IRS agents. So this I think this, that fight that went on for the Speaker of the House, that was a wonderful thing for this country.
Absolutely.
I think so too.
Yeah, I told Chuck I wouldn't mind if it went on for several months because when they're not spending money, they're not spending money, and I like that.
Well, the real deal there is that you saw the Congress in action like it was set up to be. People arguing each other, almost going to fisticuffs to get things done, and it was right out in the open where everybody could see it. Isn't that amazing? I've got a copy of the rules bill that they're putting up, and it's got all that stuff in there that they're talking about. The one guy, even a Democrat, can say, "Oh, I don't like this speaker. We need to vote him out." They can do that now if they vote this bill in.
So, the other thing that's really important is the omnibus bill is done. It should be done away with. When they vote on something, it has to be just one thing. It's not a 47,000 page document or 40, what is it, 4,900 pages?
44, 45, 49.
Yeah, whatever it was.
So what does it
That
matter?
last budget, they didn't have any idea what they were voting for. They just voted for it.
That's
So
just plain stupid. It's like I'm going to buy a house just based off of a picture you might send me. I don't even know you, and you're sending me a picture of a house, and I'm going to buy it. That would be incredibly dumb.
yeah,
I mean,
Yeah, and you get to the house and you walk in the front door and you're still outside because there's no house there. And that's
because it's a Hollywood set.
Yeah, it's a Hollywood set. Thank you
It's
very much.
nothing like it.
You're the proud
Now
owner
we
of a
know-
Hollywood set.
That's true. Now we all know that headlines can be very misleading.
Yes.
So, but some of a lot of headlines I'm seeing is where our new speaker is actually wanting to abolish the IRS.
I think that anybody that is in the Congress now that doesn't want to do something like that, I don't think they're going to last much longer because people are starting to figure out what's going on with this tax business, and it's just going to take, we've been trying for several years to get the fair tax on nationally, but we're not getting much traction because you got a lot of people that are against you. The lobbyists, number one, and you got most of the Congress people are getting paid twice by people wanting the fair tax and by people trying to keep the fair tax out of from being law. And so they're all making money off the income tax system. Not to mention the guys that you see on television, will come to us and we'll get your tax back. Well, I shouldn't have had to pay all that in the first place,
Oh, there's so many different rules and laws in the income tax code, and nobody knows all of them. And people generally just want to get it paid or get their money back if they can. The no interest loan that they gave the government for the year.
It's a big monstrosity because you got the code, which is something like 11 or 12,000 pages, and then up to about 40 or 50,000 more of changes that have been made since 1913. And there have been over 20,000 changes to that law since '86 alone, when the Reagan Revolution came about and got us down to three tax brackets. And since then, there have been over 20,000 changes, and all of that builds up into this monstrosity called the income tax. But then don't forget, you got tax law that's been used to try to get money out of people too. So you got all the court proceedings and everything with their precedents that are set out of that are, you got over 78,000 pages of this stuff. That's a book stacked over in the corner about 16 feet high. It's just crazy, and nobody knows what's in that thing. It needs to be.
And nobody cares.
Yeah, remember
the people in charge don't care.
We do.
People over there. I do too. I really care.
We're gonna have a bonfire.
Oh, I hope so. Let's talk about fair tax. What is fair tax?
The fair tax in its entirety is taking the income tax system at the federal level as we know it and jacking it up and rolling out the door and letting it roll down the street to oblivion, and replacing it all with a single rate consumption tax that you pay on new goods and services only. Used goods would no longer be taxed for any reason, and so a person can decide how much tax they want to pay each year by whether they buy something new or used. And by the way, a house that's been lived in is used, so you have no federal tax on a house when you bought it if you're buying a resale. So there are a lot of intricacies like that they just fall into place because the when you sign the bill, you get rid of all the income tax forms and all that collection. You get rid of the IRS after 3 years and burn all the documents that have to do with income tax, and then you're free to spend your money the way you want to. And that's essentially the basic tenet of the thing, is you get rid of all those taxes, and you're not encumbered with any taxes until you buy something new or have a service done.
The IRS is a weapon. That's it, just plain and simple. That's all. That's what it is, and that's its purpose, is to be a weapon. And it's not to collect taxes, because they really don't care about the taxes. They can print the money, but it is a weapon to use against a perceived enemy, and it's used all the time.
And remember all the arguments that you've ever heard in your life is, we got to tax the rich and unburden the poor. Well, guess what? This latest round of IRS motions going on is checking out the little guy to find out where he's getting his money and why he's not paying that extra $2 worth of tax that he didn't pay last time. So
yeah, that's what the extra IRS agents are for, to get the little people, because they've taken the pot at the top. They've got it. They want the pot at the bottom, and
which is a lot bigger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when it comes to like wanting to know what your $600 deposit's about,
that's what I'm talking about.
That's chump change for people who, for the elite.
Yeah.
I mean,
they waste more money on that just with all the antics that they go through up there in the House and Senate. So
well, if you've been to the grocery store lately, it's going to be chump change for the little people too, because I couldn't believe when we went to the grocery store last time, we bought 4 things and came out with $50, and they were forced. Yeah, it is, but that's the way it's going to be, and that's because of what the government has done. It's not because of what the people have done, except the people vote for those people. That's the yeah.
Oh, but the problem is when you ask some of those people, how do you feel about who you voted for now? They think they're doing a good job.
Yeah, that's because
I don't know in what area they're doing a good job at.
Well, they're not really keeping up. You can see these questions to people on the street, and you just wonder, how in the world do those people get around? Are they able to walk back and forth?
They don't even know who the president is.
Don't know who the president, vice president.
Yeah.
So they're not going to know about.
And they vote.
But they'll complain about paying too much money and not being able to make enough money to live. All those kind of things. Well, look around you and see why that's happening.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not keeping up. They're too busy with their social media complaining about things. So
I saw a meme on Facebook I thought was so funny, and it's actually my son put it on there. It's wonder they don't kick him completely off of Facebook. So there's a cart, and it's just full of dozens of eggs. And he said, if I win the lottery, I won't tell anybody, but you'll get a pretty good indication with what's in my cart. And it was just But the thing about it is we're having to laugh and keeps us from crying. I can't believe the cost of a dozen eggs. I'm so glad we have chickens out here on the farm.
Well, you can find eggs too, because Chuck went yesterday and got to get some eggs, and
there are eggs there, but the ones you want aren't, because everybody else likes those too. And so you start taking less and less, but the less and less is starting to cost more and more. So you're getting beat either way you go. So.
Yeah.
Just find you a local farmer. Find you a local farmer and get your eggs from them. You're helping them out in their business as well. Yeah. And guess what? Probably not going to be a shortage unless everybody goes in the entire neighborhood at the same day.
Yeah, it buys them out. Yeah, we did have. We live on Kill Mountain near Gurley and Alabama, and the. On Facebook a couple of days ago, there was somebody said, "Hey, I've got eggs. Let me know where you live, and I'll bring however many you want."
Let me know that.
So I want to see how it goes. If you get any complaints about their eggs, well, then I won't buy any. But otherwise, we'll think about buying their eggs.
Yeah, we're talking about eggs. I have this thing about eggs. I like the yolk to be golden yellow, and I don't like those white egg yolks. And we were getting them for a while, and so we've been paying more for better eggs, but those are the ones we have trouble finding now. But if I can find a golden yellow egg, I'll buy it.
Yeah. My grandmother used to be so snooty about eggs, because here on the farm they always had their own chickens, and sometimes when it's really, really cold, they don't lay as much.
Right.
And so my grandmother would say, "Well, we had to go buy those store-bought eggs, and they're terrible."
Yeah, because
she's so snooty about that.
Well, those eggs have been around a while. The ones you got out of your your hen's house is going to be a lot fresher.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So many things are happening, and fair tax to me is just the only way. I can't think of anything
It is.
else. And if you're really looking for a solution and not a way to pad your pocket, and you're in office, you'd be the hero. I mean, you'd be the hero.
I think the guys that are skeptical of voting it in would be those that don't realize how much better off they're going to be, even as a legislator, if they do that. Because just take, for instance, at the Alabama level, if you get rid of the income tax and the sales tax system like it is now, you make it a fair system by going to the fair tax, because everybody pays the same rate, and everybody uh, uh, is allowed the same amount of money, family size, not by what amount of money you make. So the point I'm making is, what that's going to do is it's going to alleviate the corporations from having to pay tax in the state of Alabama. So what's that going to do? It's going to have corporations looking in Alabama to bring their
Their jobs.
jobs. And we got something going on outside here, and I don't know what it is. Sounds like a foghorn. Well, anyway,
Probably the chickens are upset.
maybe, but that brings, if you don't have the corporations taxed, then that'll bring more large corporations here to manufacture their goods, which means it's going to bring manufacturing back to a U.S. state, which it'll do for the whole USA if we can get it done. And by the way, it'll bring small businesses to the state of Alabama, because they won't have to pay any tax or anything to do business here. So it's just a win-win-win. It's a win for the consumer, and it's a win for the guy that's going to move here and not have all that encumbrance on him.
The thing I like it.
Let's go into a commercial break. We're going to be right back in just a few minutes, but let's talk about that when you get back. Okay, we'll be back in just a few minutes, guys.
Let Rhonda at Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC take the burden off you for all your tax needs. I know, because Rhonda has been taking care of my business since 2013. I feel Rhonda works for me because she knows the direct questions to ask to better benefit my unique business, in order for me to get back the biggest refund possible. Rhonda is an ongoing student, and she knows tax laws are in a constant change every year. Call 256-281-9903 for an appointment to take the dread out of getting your taxes done. Rhonda is located at 11968 U.S. Highway 431 in Boaz. Again, that number is 256-281-9903. And let Rhonda's Elite Tax LLC champion your personal and business taxes. Lynn's Mexican Restaurant, located in Vinegar, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020. We're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lemonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night or two, or a celebration for a crowd, at LeBron's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with LeBron's Mexican Restaurant. At Miracle Pottery, each pottery item is hand-turned from durable stoneware clay body and non-scratch high fire glaze, dishwasher, oven, and microwave safe. Our handcrafted dinnerware and bakeware will last a lifetime, staying just as beautiful as the day it was born. Pot, first with a cross and thanks to our Lord, our name, and then the year. We say a tiny prayer for the receiver of each piece, that they receive abundant blessings in their lives. It's not just about pottery. We're located in the foothills of Appalachian Mountains near Mentone and Valley Head, Alabama. We're open every day, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., and we ask you call ahead for tour groups. Please go to our website, miraclepottery.com, for info about our getaway cottages. You can also call us at 256-3568-6863.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, and my employees and I want to thank each and every one of you for your continued support. With everything going on right now, your rest is so important. That's why we're having the biggest My Pillow sale ever. Not only are my bed pillows as low as $19.98, but you can get the best body pillows ever. Regular $89.98, now only $29.98. Take your rest on the go with our Roll and Go Anywhere My Pillows for only $14.98. And we have our new couch and accent pillows. They aren't just for looks. They have My Pillow's patented adjustable fill that gives you that amazing My Pillow comfort. In this economy, you get the best gifts ever for the best prices ever. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code and you get deep discounts on body, couch, most pillows, and so much more, including my original bed pillows for as low as $19.98. Please order now while quantities last.
Okay, folks, we are back. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of The Edge. Thank you so much for watching. We're in North Alabama. You can find us on television a number of different ways. You can find us on Roku TV and Amazon Fire. Again, it's so good to be with you today. Thank you so much for watching. Great topic right here, and this is about taxes. Now, this is the only time I like to talk about taxes, is when we're talking about fair tax. I have Chuck and Mary Lynn Bailey with me right now. Hey, guys, so good to have you back on the show again today.
Good to be back.
Good to be here.
Yeah, it's always good to be with you. Now, folks are listening from all over the country. And again, we are basically all over the country and all over the world. But let's talk to folks about maybe thinking about moving into the Alabama area. It would be a haven if we had no tax right here and fair tax.
Yeah, it's it affects everybody. It affects the individual. It really affects small business, and then the corporations would not have an income tax hanging over their head. And if you look at those things, they all have carve outs, so that if they do this, they don't have to pay a tax. If they do that, they don't have to pay a tax. And so there's nothing fair about any of that. And it's the same thing for the sales tax that we have here. I looked at that several years ago, and at the time there were over 150 deductions, exceptions, and all that stuff for both the income tax and the sales tax. I was surprised about the sales tax, but even sales tax have exemptions. So all of that stuff goes away, and you get rid of the income tax collection side of the business down there in Montgomery, and you'd go to a much smaller consumption tax organization that would have a lot fewer people to actually keep up with. Right now, you have something like 2.2 million people that have jobs that are supposedly paying income tax, and that goes down to about maybe 60,000 retail sales businesses in the state. So I think 60,000 will be easier to take care of than 2.2 million people, all of whom can go off in a corner and fix their form so that they get more tax reduced from their income taxes. So and small businesses wouldn't have all the paperwork and everything that's involved with doing income tax. Or if they were retail, the sales tax goes down to a single form where it says, I made so much this month, I had so many credits I had to give people for bringing stuff back. Here's the amount of tax I got off of what's left, and here's your money. And they do that once a month, or whatever the size of the business, the size of the check they have to write would depend on how often they have to do it. So it's just it points its way to being for the taxpayer rather than against the taxpayer. And if you're taxing production, that's against the taxpayer.
Absolutely. And I wanted to make another point, because anybody who listens to this show and watches this show, there are a lot of Democrats I don't like. There are also a lot of Republicans I don't like. So this is nothing to do with Democrat, Republican.
No, it doesn't. Totally nonpartisan.
when this thing at the federal level, the first time it was submitted was John Linder and I can't remember his name now. A guy from I think he may still be in the Congress, although you don't hear much about him. But you had a Democrat and a Republican who co-sponsored the bill, and they submitted it in the House, and it had a bunch of Democrats and Republican co-signers on there besides them. But then Nancy Pelosi came along in 2004 or so and said, "Sorry, if you're part of that bill, you'll never have a chairmanship under my domain." So that it's been kind of a Republican bill since then, but it's not a Republican bill. It's for everybody. If you pay taxes, you ought to be for this bill.
Mm-hmm. Well, actually, if you believe in freedom, you would want this bill. Yeah. If you enjoy spending all the time that you have to spend to pay your taxes or to get back what's left of the loan that you gave the government last year, you're for the fair tax.
And it's a no interest loan on your part.
Yeah. The thing about that, the state bill is for 1 penny more, we could pay property taxes too. So everybody in the state, when they own a home, could actually own it and not be renting it from the state.
That's right, because you don't own it. I
No.
mean, you really don't, as long as you're paying taxes on it.
That's right.
So that's kind of the crux of it is at the federal level and the state level. Our bill, the Alabama Economic Freedom Act, it's a clone of the federal bill. So all of the goodies that you get from having a national bill roll down into the state. So
we were speaking to a lady several months ago who thought that once she was 65, she wouldn't have to pay taxes on Social Security anymore. And I said, well, we do. We've been over 65 for a while. And that totally surprised her. She thought she was going to be free and clear of income tax once she was totally on Social Security. So
the old saying is true. Dying and paying taxes. I mean, it's true. I mean,
that's true. Yeah.
But we got to get a grip on this, because you're being punished. And again, you have, and just like you said, Mary Lynn, freedom means a lot.
It really does. And actually, to turn back to the speaker controversy that we had last week, which
I thought it was great.
I did too. And also, we didn't hear much about January 6th either. But but the people who were fighting for us to get something from the speaker were the Freedom Caucus. They're looking for freedom, and everything that they asked for and got, it expands freedom for the populace, and
makes me feel better about things.
Exactly.
Well, what happened over the years, all these changes were made to the rules on how you vote for things in the Congress, and they built themselves on top of themselves on top of themselves, and you got where you are today. And they said, we just want to go back to where we know it worked and start there again, and that's essentially what they got. It's the bill is 52 pages, it's in the format of a bill, so you can get it all on about 6 or 8 pages if you just write it out, And then there's also a companion along with that explains what each one of the changes is they're talking about, and there's nothing radical in there. It's just we want to make this place operate more efficiently, and those things will do it.
Yeah, there are a lot of people
that want to pay bills too. Less than a minute. A minute. How can folks find out more about fair tax?
Well, at the national level, they go to fairtax.org and just peruse that site. There's just all kind of information on there, and then a lot of things they'll learn there go down to alfairtax.org, which is our site, and you can go there and read about the bill there and how far along we got with it and everything. So.
Understanding the Alabama Economic Freedom Act. That will totally explain it.
They'll get it. Guys, thank you so much for being on the show. You got to be on next week after you get back, okay?
Yeah.
And we'll plan for you to be on next week. You got to talk about it.
Yeah, it's the 19th, so it'll be after that.
Okay, awesome. Okay, folks, we'll be seeing you a little bit later, and thank you guys for being on the show. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.